Dennis Prager is promoting ivermectin. He's not the only person on the internet promoting ivermectin. To my
no, a lot of free speech activists are really into it now.
Right. A lot of people want to take those horse meds. So Prager is now in real time demonstrating how right-wingers are shifting the goalposts after the FDA approval of the COVID Pfizer vaccine. It's been fully approved by the FDA, and we all predicted, it was an easy prediction, that once that happens, right-wingers, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been open about this, like, okay, if it doesn't even have full approval, how can we trust it? Even though, like, I thought you weren't trusting the government in the first place overseeing the vaccine, but the FDA is a part of the government and their approval means the world to you. But it doesn't really, because now they are shifting the goalposts once again. And also, another aspect of what we heard from the right wing, an argument, was talk to your doctor about the vaccine. I'm not telling you to take the vaccine. Don't listen to politicians. Talk to your doctor. This is a personal decision between you and your doctor. Prager's shifted on doctors.
Why should doctors be any better than lawyers or professors or any other group that has disgraced itself in American life?
Or talk show hosts.
There's no reason. Doctors have the same degree of wisdom as gender studies professors.
Oh.
The issue isn't medical knowledge. The issue is wisdom and courage. There are plenty of doctors who have it. Read about the Great Barrington Declaration. From Great Barrington, what is it, Vermont? Or New Hampshire?
I actually think it's Massachusetts.
Oh, is it Massachusetts?
I'm not sure.
He's not sure.
I'm checking.
He is checking. That's the good news.
All right, we can skip like 30 seconds ahead.
Instantaneously. Nothing knows about it.
This is good.
Your doctor knows nothing about COVID. Nothing. All they know is how the virus works. That's all they know. It is an amazing
Wait, pause
thing.
it. Hold on. Your doctor knows nothing about COVID except exactly how the virus works.
Your mechanic knows nothing about cars except how the V6 engine works.
They know nothing about cars except every
it's
part
a novel,
of the car.
It's a novel virus, you idiot. There are some unknowns about it. That's sort of like definitional.
Yeah, the only person that knows about COVID is God. So, and God hasn't told us to take the vaccine. Although, didn't the Pope come out and say, I'm pro-vax?
Yeah, the Pope's woke, so.
Yes, well, obviously he's been teaching critical race theory, so we can't trust him. But, you know, he's supposed to be the guy who's speaking for God, and he's been pro-vaccine. I don't know. Who knows more about COVID than God? He's the one that put this plague upon us to punish us for the critical race theory.
Keep going, brother.
Yeah.
Ask your doctor if he even knows about it. Your doctor knows nothing about COVID. Nothing. All they know is how the virus works. That's all they know.
I'm sorry. He was talking about ivermectin.
It is an amazing thing that listening to this show, a non-doctor, you have learned more about COVID, more about masks than your doctor probably knows. Not only is it not a boast, it is totally meant to be an attack on the medical profession. I should not know 10 times more than your doctor about all of the issues with therapeutics.
Teenager, I know 10 times more.
And if your doctor thinks ivermectin is dangerous, change your doctor. And I mean it. Might be a nice guy.
Yeah.
But check out another doctor.
Yeah. If your poison control center says that you probably shouldn't have taken ivermectin off-label, get a new poison control center would be my advice.
Yeah, He seems quite convinced he knows more about doctors and more than doctors about ivermectin. So this is, their new hydroxychloroquine. Ivermectin is what's going to save you. It's not the vaccine, which now has FDA approval, which we all said what we wanted. We needed to know for it to be safe. What's truly safe is for you to take a horse dewormer meant for livestock for the most part, and there's no evidence that it helps with COVID. Nothing conclusive at the very least.
Yeah,
and
there's many, a certain amount of studies, many retracted, none of like massive sample sizes you would need. But I say that, but also it is being studied. It is being studied. There is not this big conspiracy to silence this stuff. And the fact that people are calling into poison control centers in increasing numbers means that maybe there's actually too much irresponsible speculation going on about it in channels that aren't doctors. And so, like, the thing about ivermectin, like, sure, there is actually uses in humans to do with the parasites, it's my understanding. And even early on, could there have been some sort of use for the treatment of COVID for it? They looked into it, and it looks like not really. Not really. There, it looks like they studied that, actually. They didn't say, oh, no, let's be afraid to study this because the woke people will cancel us from our doctor jobs.
Well, because it's threatening Big Pharma.
Of course, certain like this thing that Merck owns.
Right, threatening Big Pharma. You know, the biggest threat to Big Pharma is if you take and purchase a substance that Merck owns and manufactures.
Another product made by Big Pharma, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think you look at like the rising poison control calls, and it's clear that people are doing like they were eating, what was it, the fish treatment stuff for hydroxychloroquine or whatever.
Yeah.
Like people, this is irresponsible because, again, you have people like Dennis Prager and a whole bunch of others saying your doctor doesn't know shit, take this shit. And people are doing it and it's poisoning them. And it's not saving them from COVID. What would do that? Make them less likely to die from COVID is a vaccine.
Yeah. And there are people, I mean, like, guys, Jimmy Dore is talking about ivermectin. Just if, like, we want an indication of what side.
I mean, Dore's part of that group.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's with Dennis fucking Prager on this. This is the same audience that he's courting. So.
No, it's the group think. The biggest problem now is that it's the sort of elites, liberal elites that are going to content moderate you to death. Yeah,
you know what's good when dealing with a global pandemic is to supersede all health concerns and what is being told to you by professionals and doctors. Doctors, we know you care about, ask your doctor. Like, what they would say about ask your doctor is, like, we know you're not actually going to ask your doctor and you're not going to actually take the vaccine because your doctor would tell you to take the vaccine, by the way. But, like, what's really important and responsible is in a global pandemic where everyone needs to come together and beat this thing and take health officials' words seriously, is to deem them as a part of a liberal elite and make sure that cultural resentment about the liberal elites is at the forefront of your commentary on that global pandemic. So we're going to lump in doctors, scientists, Fauci with, like, you hate Kamala Harris's laugh, right? They're the same person. And so you not doing what they tell you to do, which could save your life, that's your act of sticking it to those elites that you really just can't stand. And often that coincides with them being women or them being black or them being Latino or they being indigenous or them being Asian. Like, oftentimes those all become this one big messy amalgamation, and you get to take it out on them by taking a dewormer that's meant to treat conditions in fucking livestock. That's exactly what you're gonna do. Like, that's deranged. And so, speaking of Dore, they're speaking to the same exact people here, and it's about tapping into that very rage and purposefully muddying the waters and making it all about the same group of people, a cabal, if you will, of globalists. And some of them may be Jewish too. And they're all trying to get you to do something. You're not going to do that, right? You're not going to give it to them.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think the chicken shit thing about this is how it is like, oh, I'm not actually interested in, I don't know, I'm not a doctor myself, but I do know when there is somebody being censored for, trying to say things the powers that be don't want you to and that's just what this is trafficking in. And yeah, I think everybody who did that should be forced to listen to these poison control calls. And yeah, I don't know. And it's also like the way it's like the socialism of fools sort of thing. Like as if this is the way to take it to big pharma. These motherfuckers have just reproduced these advertisements. They're saying ask your doctor about this or that. I think that countries that aren't that don't have their pharmaceutical systems controlled by as much by capitalists don't have to do. Right? Like we do this thing like ask your doctor about this, ask your doctor about that, and it makes you feel empowered. Well, that's all this hydroxychloroquine shit is. That's all this ivermectin stuff is. If ivermectin could help you, your doctor would fucking know about it.
Yeah, just whatever, I don't care. Play this Dore clip, Bradley.
I'm going to be talking about ivermectin, and I'm going to be talking about the alternative therapies to treat COVID. And isn't it funny Dr. Fauci never mentions ivermectin? Isn't it funny Dr. Fauci never mentions the fact that we could have cut the deaths from COVID by a third if we had Medicare for All? Isn't that interesting, Ron, that Dr. Fauci never mentions Medicare for All or ivermectin? Is that interesting?
Pause. I don't want to watch anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
I think it's fucking infuriating to see somebody put Medicare for All in the same sentence as you're prescribing ivermectin.
And it's all the elites. It's the same elites, Matt.
Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny? Yeah, it's pretty funny how Fauci hasn't been promoting ivermectin. That's hilarious.
It is hilarious. And Medicare for... You know who's standing in the way of Medicare for All? Anthony Fauci. It's the same people. Like, you want to talk about something that doesn't help... that doesn't help actually advance Medicare for All.
No, these people, I'm sorry, but Dore, like, fuck Fauci. I think Fauci, like, there's a great piece by Sam Adler-Bell. Fauci's a piece of shit going back decades, whatever.
Right, but
the point I want to say is that Dore is symbiotic with Fauci. When Dore comes off and says, just attacks him with bullshit like, why aren't you promoting ivermectin? That rebounds to Fauci's credibility. That makes the liberals love Fauci even more because it's Daddy Fauci protecting me from this fucking idiot.
I'd take that over. I mean, like...
I trust Fauci more than Dore.
Well, the point is, like, I don't even... Like, engaging in the, like... delineating between Fauci, I think, and I don't know. My point being, point is taken, right? Like conflating those two things, prescribing ivermectin and fighting for Medicare for All is the same thing. It couldn't be more disingenuous and sapping of the energy behind Medicare for All, and that's exactly why. You know, he is not actually genuinely interested in that policy as a set because, like...
It's why he's a wrecker.
Right. Well,
that's why he was always a wrecker, even back to force the vote. If people want to keep bringing that up, let's talk about Jimmy Dore's role in that.
Well, let's talk about, like, endorsing Tulsi Gabbard for president, like, who didn't support Medicare for All. It's, like, unbelievable, these people.
And narrowing the idea that the only thing we should be leveraging Pelosi for is a single vote, which was always stupid, but we should move on before I get more angry.
Yeah. Yeah. That was epic, though. Good stuff.
Folks, there's more of what you've just saw where that came from. That's if you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you. Really, thank you.